Today I wanted to talk about some classic books that I would recommend for readers dipping into classics for the first time. First up, we have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This book is about Maxim de Winter. He is recently widowed and finds himself in southern France. He meets an unnamed character who ends up being our narrator of this story. He decides to propose to her, they get married, and then they go back to Manderley, which is de Winter's estate. As she tries to adapt to her new life, she realizes that she's being suffocated by the presence of Rebecca, Maxim's late wife. She is everywhere in the house, and even the helpers of the house seem to gravitate towards the ghost of Rebecca. I would suggest this modern classic because even though it was published in like the 30s, it reads so modern to this day. There's no hard dialogue or language to interpret. It's also so engaging with the twists and psychological elements, and this gothic novel is perfect for the gloomier months. Next up, we have Dracula by Bram Stoker. I will admit that this is probably one of the hardest books I have on my list recommendations, but I really think it is so quintessential autumn classic that I really would recommend it for first-time readers. I think it is really challenging but very rewarding to read this book. Dracula is written as a series of letters and diary entries. The story opens up with Jonathan Harker, who is a lawyer, and he is traveling from England to the Carpathian Mountains to visit Dracula's castle. Dracula wants to buy a home in England, so Jonathan is kind of helping Dracula with the sale of it. But Dracula's true nature as a vampire is revealed. He flees the castle and he goes to England to search for victims to keep himself alive. Harker finds his way back to England and joins in a group of hunters to try and track down Dracula and kill him. This book is so cozy and creepy and just has really great horror elements in it. And again, just like Rebecca, this book has a dark atmosphere that is great for October and November. Next up, we have The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. In this novel, we follow Michael Henchard, who in a drunken rage sells his wife and child to a sailor. In the morning when he wakes up, he realizes what he has done and vows to not drink for 21 years. Years later, as he has become a wealthy, successful mayor of Casterbridge, his mistakes come back to haunt and destroy him. I first read this book in high school and absolutely fell in love with the main character, Michael Henchard. Thomas Hardy's writing focuses on the character development and the internal struggle of his characters, most notably Henchard, which is why I fell in love with this book so much, because I really loved watching the struggle that Henchard goes through throughout the entire book. Up next, we have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brontë. This novel begins with orphan Jane Eyre. She is living with her abusive aunt, and when she decides to leave to go to boarding school, she receives much of the same treatment. These years of hardship and abusiveness really create who the character of Jane Eyre is. She later becomes governess of Thornfield Hall, where she meets Mr. Rochester. She finds herself falling in love with her new employer, but as their relationship begins to develop and odd occurrences happen around Thornfield, she realizes that Mr. Rochester is hiding a secret that could tear their relationship apart. This is another book that I read in high school that I really loved so much. Like Dracula, it is pretty long, but even more so than Dracula, this book is so compelling and just has a fast-paced storyline and plot. I think after you read about her home life with her aunt and you find her at Thornfield, the pace of this book really picks up, and the secret and mysteries that Thornfield provides are too engaging to put this book down. And the last book that I would recommend is Knight's Gambit by William Faulkner. I don't technically know if this is a classic because this is short stories and not as notable work that Faulkner has put out, but I think it's perfect for autumn. So there are 6 mystery stories in this book, and all the stories revolve around this one character, Gavin Stevens, who's an attorney in a small county in Mississippi. He investigates local crime and is trying to get to the truth and justice of it all. The way that I read this in autumn was picking a short story to read each night. As you go through each story, you learn a little bit more about Gavin Stevens. So making your way through the journey feels familiar because you have these recurring characters, but you also have the new mystery that is happening in each of the stories. So those are all of the classics that I would recommend for a first-time classics reader. But I also wanted to share some of the classics that I haven't read that I'm planning to this autumn. The first one is Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy, Notre Dame de Paris by Victor Hugo, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Brontë, and By the Pricking of My Thumbs by Agatha Christie. I recognize that not everybody loves classics, so I am putting out another video of more nonfiction, fiction books that I think would be perfect for autumn months. I would love to know what you would recommend for first-time classics readers and if you are reading any classics this fall. I hope your autumn is cozy and filled with many days of reading. Bye!